Um, what is the most effective solution for a sub 5? Somebody who's a sub 5, what's the most effective solution for that person, for that guy? Okay, a guy who in looks, let's say he's a 3, okay? He's not a 4, he's not a, he's a 3. Okay, let's say what's the most effective solution? Because as I referred to in my previous video, if you were a sub 5, you really don't know like what's the most optimal thing you can do at that point with your limited resources. Should you looks max? Should you money max? Should you geo max? Like, what's the most effective? Because let's say you chose to geo max, right? But you didn't have much money saved. You're gonna find really quick that now you have to come back to the US because you didn't have enough money. You gotta come back here to save up. So what seemed like a quick solution is actually not, because now you gotta come back to the US and get back to work and start the process all over again. Let's say money max, start a business, work 2-3 jobs, live below your means, try to save as much as possible. You do all that only to find out that it's gonna take 10-15 years to have any kind of decent amount of money that will actually give you an advantage in the dating marketplace, right? So that right there, geo maxing right there, is already an issue. Money maxing is gonna take too long, 10-15 years, unless you get lucky. Looks maxing seems like a proper solution, but that too, the problem with looks maxing is that it may not give you the results that you need, the results that may make a difference. If you looks max from a 3 to a 4, your dating life didn't really change. If you looks max from a 3 to maybe a 5, you may see a small improvement, but not much. That's the issue with looks maxing. Okay, so if you're a 3 or a 4, what do? Do you looks max? Do you money max? Do you geo max? Some guys will say to just whole max, but we all know that whole maxing also has a downside. What type of whole maxing? You can go whole max overseas. You can geo max and whole max at the same time. But again, it's going to cost you a bunch of money, because even if it's cheap over there, the actual plane ticket, the hotel, the Airbnb, the car that you're going to have to rent while you're there. But most importantly, most guys won't be able to keep their job while geo maxing. Most guys don't have like a remote job that they can do, right? So yeah, you're not spending much money, but you're not making any money. You're not generating any income while you're there. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's costly. As far as home maxing, you can do that in the US, but that's not the best. That's not what you actually want for your dating life, as far as home maxing, because guys already know what goes down with that. It costs a lot of money, and it's not very effective in terms of the treatment that you want. So yeah, it's a tough question for sub 5s. If you're a sub 5, it's kind of like, damn, what do I do? What's the best use of my time? Because also you can only do a few of those things at the same time. You may say, okay, you're gonna try geo maxing, money maxing, looks maxing, all 3 at the same time, right? And you'll see which one actually works and which one doesn't. So let's say you're looks maxing, getting in shape, hitting the gym, while you're trying to money max, starting a business, investing. Okay, that's still going to require a significant amount of investment in terms of time. It's like, okay, this business is going to start making money in 5 years. It's not going to make real money, but it's going to start making decent money in 5 years. As far as looks maxing, let's say you manage to go from a 3 to a 4 or 5, but then you can't really make any progress from that point, and your results are not that great, so that's really what the problem is. As a sub 5, what do you focus on? What do you improve? That can be a tough question, man. Again, if you have a lot of money, if you already have money, then you're good. That would be the ideal solution. Like, you save a bunch of cash and then you use that. That could be ideal. But most guys don't have that kind of bread. Most guys don't have 500K sitting there. If you had 500K sitting in the bank, you could say, look, I'm gonna go overseas and I'm gonna spend like 50K. Let's say you go to Thailand on a 50K budget, or let's say you go to Colombia on a 50K budget. That's more than enough money to be there for at least 2 years. Let's say you're gonna spend like, let's say $800 a month on an apartment, times 12 times 2 years. That's less than $20,000 just on your apartment. And then obviously food and everything else, as well as home maxing. Home maxing is pretty cheap over there from what I heard. So in the end, right, that would be the fastest and best way to do it. But most guys don't have 500K sitting in their account. Most guys can't do that. Most guys barely have like 20 grand in the bank. Man, if you're a guy who's like 25 years old, do you have that kind of money? No. So that means you're gonna have to spend a few years just struggling, just really struggling. That's really what it means. And ultimately, that's what it means. You're gonna spend a lot of time struggling because you won't be able to see results for years. And even after putting in years of investment and self-improvement, in the end, the results may be marginal. The results may be very small. I'm not trying to discourage you from doing all those things. I'm trying to be realistic, and I'm trying to tell you to put in a lot of time. Even before you start, put in some time to determine, what do you do? Do you looks max? Do you geo max? Or should geo maxing be like a long-term? Should it be more like a long-term focus? And like, okay, I'm just gonna save as much money as possible, right? Because if geo maxing is your focus from the beginning, everything will change. Your investments are gonna change. You're gonna focus more on saving money, right? You'll spend less money on things like clothes. If geomaxing is a goal from the beginning, you'll spend less money on clothes. You'll spend less money at the club. You'll just stack up money. Because I know a lot of guys who they never had any type of goal, and they ended up wasting a lot of money just doing these other things that they thought would work. Obviously, these things didn't work, and in the end, they were like, I should have just saved my money and just geomax in the end. So find out what you want to do. Find out what your optimal solution is based on the sacrifices you're willing to make, and then go from there. But don't just start supposedly just self-improving without a plan, without an end goal. It's just not a good idea.